Hello Internet, this is KCCK again, and thanks for coming to the video. This time I'm actually putting the color in it, unlike the video with Knights last time. Anyhow, let's get started. This week I am drawing a picture not from a video game franchise that I loved growing up, but from a anime that I loved growing up, and you're probably gonna judge me a little for what this is. But in the long run, please try to hear me out and see. I don't like it as much as I did when I was younger, but I see it because I didn't see a lot of the things that were in it. I didn't understand them, I didn't notice them, and I saw it as something else. So please, just enjoy listening to me talk. This time we're drawing Mei and Ongo from the 3-episode cringy fan service OVA, Jungle de Ikou. Yay! Now, Jungle de Ikou as an anime in concept isn't that bad of an idea when you think about it. It's about a young girl named Natsumi whose father is an archaeologist who comes back from New Guinea and gives her an artifact which she wears as earrings. A earth god comes to her and says that the evil destroyer Ongo is going to surface again and destroy things, and she has to use the power of Mei, the flower spirit, in order to stop the evil Ongo and save the entire world. And so she basically is a magical girl who uses the powers of a goddess from ancient New Guinea. And that does not sound like a bad idea for a concept. The evil destroyer Ongo ends up showing up, and he's like this little pygmy, and he's just this little obnoxious character, and that's the story. It's basically more like 2 episode misadventures of these characters, and then 1 finale. Anyway, where they messed up, though, is that this is also a fan service anime. And I'm not against fan service anime, but let me put it this way. The fan servicey part is that it's literally about a just hitting pubescent young girl who has to do a perverted dance that involves a lot of panty flashing and groping her own boobs and this almost orgasm scene at the end where she's like, ah, only to turn into this the spine hurting, huge breasted flower spirit whose power literally comes from doing dances that also involves taking her boobs around. Which is still funny, but I think where a lot of the cringe comes from is that technically this is a young girl just hitting her double digits in age and just starting puberty. And that is where a lot of the cringe would come in. Mind you, I think that I'm more resistant to the cringe factor of that because it's something that I grew up with. I've actually been watching this anime since I was around the age of the main character, since I was just starting puberty, given I think I started puberty a little late. I didn't start blooming. I don't even think I got my first time of the month until about late 13 years old, which is kind of late, like really, really late. Anyway, so why do I like this kind of cringe fest anime? And it's more like I like the idea of what I thought it was as a kid. As a kid, I didn't notice a lot of these. It's one of those animes. It's one of those borderline child's dirty animes. But without, because all the dirty parts mostly happen when the main character is an adult, or it's just suggestive rather than actually what it is. Like, there's this one scene where another spirit possesses one of the main character's classmates, and she does this little dance that has a lot of hip squatting that gets her sweating, and the sweat drips off of her to make water on the floor that the water spirit uses to transform. But the way it falls between her legs as she's doing these squat thingies, yeah, it's one of those, but I didn't notice that as a kid, because as a kid I was like, oh, it's just sweat. Animators, you gonked up. It makes it look like something dirty's happening, but it's not. But what I had liked about this as a kid, and what I still like about it, and kind of, I don't think this was the main point of the show. I think it was fan service from the get-go. But the part that makes me sad about it is that in my heart of hearts, the way I saw this show as a kid, and even as an adult until very recently seeing it again and realizing, oh, no way, it's one of those. It's one of those shows. Was the fact that I always registered it as a comedy take on growing up. That this girl, that it was a young girl just, hitting puberty, just starting to feel like an adult and wanting to be treated like an adult. Her dad, she doesn't want to take a bath with her dad anymore because she's a grown-up. She can bathe on her own. She's getting her period for the first time. And suddenly she's being given this magical artifact that in order to save the world, she has to do a sexualized dance in order to transform into this superpowered goddess, which is wearing skimpy clothes and huge boobs, and then having to do more skimpy dances in order to stop evil. And I saw this as a comedic take on maturing and going through puberty and growing up too fast. Kind of like a watch out what you wish for kind of story. And as a kid, it didn't really bother me. I mean, at that age, I saw myself as rather a very grown-up person. Because when you're like 14, you think, I'm old enough to go on my own and make my own decisions and go on an adventure. And then you turn 20 and you're like, 14-year-old, put your pacifier back in. Which I know is kind of infantilizing to these kids and stuff. Which, don't do that. They have some agency. Let them have a little and make a few goof-ups. But at the same time, that's what I saw this anime as. And it's very hard when you go, I like this anime, but not for what it is, but for what I thought it was. A funny and comedic take on growing up. And I don't think anyone else really sees it that way. I don't think that was the intention of the creator. And deep down, it makes me feel like it was a wasted idea for a magical girl stow about a young girl who is still effectively a child getting put into these weird... This is probably going to sound wrong saying, because a lot of internet culture right now is very about the purity and stuff. But I thought it was funny to have this young girl basically being told, you gotta do this weird dance, this weird, perverted, gropey dance to turn into a day saver. And which then you have to do more gropey dances. I found that to be a comedic situation. Like, you got put in an embarrassing situation. And I liked the ending. In the end, Ongo ends up turning into this evil version of Ongo. He's basically a big giant kaiju Godzilla monster. And in the end, she has to get all of the spirits of the forest, which are all naked babies and old men, it's weird, to do another dance, another weird perverted dance, which turns her into a giant version of herself so that she can basically grapple with this guy and take him down. But what ends up happening is that her top ends up falling off, and as much as I've seen like other reviewers refer to it as just she even rubs her boobs on him and saves the day, it's kind of how she did it. That she didn't go and be like, I'm gonna pervertedly rub my boobs on you. She embraced him and she held him close to her. And the thought that went through the evil Ongo's mind, like what was going on with regular amnesia Ongo, was basically that he felt like he had been held like this once before. He thinks it was by his mother. And that it basically comforted the evil version of Ongo to go back to sleep again. Because May the Flower Spirit is like the mother goddess. And that's how I viewed this as a kid, was that it was basically a story where at the beginning it seems like you're a young kid who wants to be treated like a grown-up and more grown-up than you are, only to be given way more grown-up, be put in this almost sexualized world and be treated more grown-up than you're ready to be, only to find the non-sexual love ends up what saves the day. You get turned into a giant woman, and by basically holding the tantrum-throwing demon monster baby to your chest, holding him to your heart, and basically telling him, it's okay, you can be mad, you can calm down now, it's okay. And that calms him. It felt like a mature growing up story, to also embracing the maternal side of maturity and growing up. That's just how I saw it, though. I'm not arguing that isn't or is what it is, or that what it is less cringy because of it, but I don't know, that's just how I saw it, and I felt like doing a little fan art of it, because I am actually sad that after looking at it again as an adult, I don't think that's what the intention was. I think the intention was to turn a little girl into an adult and have her shake giant boobs around. But whatever, I guess. I'm gonna end this video here. This is a little hard of an anime to find sometimes. You can probably find it online, but I'm gonna say most people probably aren't gonna watch it because it's fan service, and fan service is cringy. So I'm gonna thank you for listening to me talk about this, and that's one of the things that I hate the most, is when a good idea is hidden in a not as good idea, and it feels like the good idea has been wasted. So if you think of any topics that you want me to talk about or draw a picture around, leave a message in the comments, and, maybe I'll get to it. Until then, I'll see you in the next video, and goodbye.